أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله
الحمد لله الذي أنعمنا وأكرمنا وأعزنا بالإسلام وهدانا بالقرآن. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. صلوات الله وسلام عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. قال عز وجل في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. صدق الله العظيم. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: الإسلام يعلو ولا يعلى. صدق رسول الله. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته, brothers and sisters. I'm sure everyone here has witnessed the events that have unfolded in Palestine, in Palestine over the last week. And the scenes that come out on the media are shocking, and it disturbs us. We witness Gaza once again being bombed. Again, young, old, children, parents are being targeted by the occupying Zionist entity. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to ease their affairs, to make them of those who will go to Jannah Ya Rab, and to give them victory. Ameen. So in this context, I want to start my khutbah with a conversation that I had with a young brother who goes to school. And he has a discussion with his teacher around this very topic. And the teacher goes and she says to him, "We must stand by Israel. They need our support." She then goes on to say, "Peace will only exist if Israel get their way." Now this example is part of a wider narrative. We live in a society that wants to isolate Muslims. Whether you are here or in the East, whether you're in the West, Islam is being demonized. Your support for Muslims around the world is being demonized. In fact, whether it be the Palestinians today, the Uyghurs tomorrow, Anyone who shows support for our Muslim brothers around the world is either being demonized. So the first point I want to address in this context is, should I care about what is happening in Palestine? Should we care? And let us start off by saying that Palestine is the land in which many of the prophets are buried. It is the land in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses when He says, سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى. Right? He subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses this land. It is the land in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did and performed the Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. It is the place, it is the land in which Al-Aqsa is. It is the place in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses, and it is the place in which the surrounding areas are blessed. So in that context, Palestine is an Islamic issue. It is rooted in Islam and it is part of our aqidah, it is part of our belief. However, when the Western world says, you're all nations, you're from Somalia, you're from Pakistan, you're from India, you're from Saudi Arabia, you're from Algeria, they say that what defines you is your flag, your nation. And when problems arise in these countries, the West says, forget about it, it's just a country problem. If a problem happens in Somalia, it is a Somali problem. If a problem happens in Palestine or Palestine, it is a Palestinian problem. If a problem took place in Yemen, it is just a Yemeni problem. And that is what the West wants you to think, to isolate, to cause division, to sow the seeds of division amongst this ummah. But Islam came as a rahmah for mankind. Islam came as a mercy for mankind with a way of life that defines how we should live. And it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who tells us what we should be united on. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ هَذِهِ أُمَّتُكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَأَنَا رَبُّكُمْ فَاعْبُدُونَ. Verily this ummah, the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is one ummah. So worship me. I am your Lord. So worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is emphasizing again that this is part of your deen, that you must worship Him. That to be part of this ummah, you must be united. So this rahmah came to break the idea of nationalism. It came to break the idea of nation states. It came to break the idea of flags defining you and I. It came to break the idea that whether you are in Pakistan or India or Palestine, this is a Muslim issue and we must feel it. So what have I seen in terms of the response? The response of this beloved ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is amazing. There's no words that can describe it. Because we do what is in our utmost capacity to support our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We give charity. We give sadaqah. In fact, this masjid will be giving and collecting zakah, collecting sadaqah to give to our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the convoy permission to get there. Ameen. What else have I seen? We stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We make dua on a daily basis. So the response echoes the words of our beloved Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he says, "Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhum ar-Rahman." Those who show mercy will be shown mercy by the most merciful in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Irhamu ahl al-ard. Show mercy to those who are on earth. It is our duty. It is our duty to show mercy to those who are oppressed. And what will happen when we show mercy? يَرْحَمُكُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will shower His mercy on you. He will give victory to you. He will aid you. He will support you from the heavens and the earth. So as Muslims, and as a Muslim community, it is our responsibility to show our support for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And in fact, it is our responsibility to show our support for our brothers and sisters all over the globe. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to first and foremost give them victory. Ameen. In the second part of this khutbah, I'm going to focus on one part, which is what is the response of the world leaders and what should we be doing in this Muslim community. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا شاكرين طيبين مبارك فيه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Brothers and sisters, I started this khutbah with a conversation that the young brother had at school. And when his teacher says to him, we must stand by Israel and they need our support. And then she goes on to say, peace will only exist if Israel get their way. And I want to unpack this point, because this is a very loaded point in which the Muslim community needs to address. And the first point is, what is the response in the Muslim world today? The general awam, the general people, we have seen them come out on the streets supporting our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Yemen, in Oman, in Jordan, and in many other parts of the world, Muslims standing up against this oppression. But what is the response of the Muslim governments today? The ones who have power in the region, the ones who have wealth and status in the region. This week, governments in the Muslim world like Saudi, like UAE, like Qatar, like Oman, and much of the Arab world, what have they been saying? They've said that we must normalize relationships with this country. They don't like what's going on, yet they want to have a two-state solution. They want to have a ceasefire. This is what the world leaders, this is what the Muslim rulers and the Muslim governments are issuing this week. In fact, historically in the last decade or in the last 2 decades, we've seen many changes in the Muslim world. Turkey normalizing relations with Israel. Egypt normalizing relations 40, 50 years ago. UAE, Oman, Morocco normalizing relations with Israel only this year and in discussions previous year. And Saudi normalizing relationship with a US brokered deal with Israel. So the question becomes, these Muslim powers, these Muslim governments, the ones who have power and wealth, what are they actually doing? They're actually normalizing relations with Israel. And this reminds me of an event that took place during the time of our beloved Habib sallallahu alayhi wasallam. An event took place when he was in Medina. At that time, when Muslims had authority in Medina, the Quraysh who were in Mecca at the time, what did they say? They said, we've got power, we've got Mecca, we are the ones who look after the Hajjaj when they come to the land of Mecca, the pilgrims, when they come and perform their Hajj. Because of this very fact, we are the ones, we are the best of the Arabs. Everyone in the Arabian Peninsula gives us the respect. So the Quraysh saw themselves as this powerhouse. But the Prophet ﷺ, again through his mercy, he invites them to Islam, even when he's in Medina. And what was the response of the Quraysh? We do not need Islam. We have our power, we have our wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ridicules this statement. We don't need Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the Quraysh in Surah At-Tawbah where He says, أَجَعَلْتُمْ سِقَايَةَ الْحَاجِ وَعِمَارَةَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Do you consider providing water to the pilgrims and maintenance of the Masjid al-Haram as equal, كَمَنْ آمَنَ, as equal to those, كَمَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, as equal to those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as equal to those who believe in the Day of Judgment, as equal to those وَجَاهَدَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and those who strive in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and perform jihad. Again, the Quraysh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the Quraysh. Do you think you are equal to those who believe in all of this? Your ridiculous statement of saying we do not need Islam. Well, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's statement. And this statement and this address is applicable to what we see today in the Muslim world. Today, while the Palestinians, the Muslims in Palestine are being indiscriminately bombed and decimated, the images that come out of the land are harrowing and disturbing. We have Saudi, the land of Mecca and Medina, who boast about looking after the Hujjaj. They have wealth and power, they have armies. Yet, when their brothers and sisters in Palestine are calling for their support, what do? They turn their backs and they support the oppressors and they normalize relationships with Israel. In fact, the response of the Muslim governments of the world today is that they stand with Israel and not with the Muslims in Palestine. This is the response of the Muslim world. So the question becomes, what is the correct response? What should you and I be doing? If the response of the Muslim world, the Muslim leaders, the Muslim government is this, what is our response? So the first point I want to address is, whose responsibility is it to solve this problem? Can you and I solve this problem? Should we go to Palestine and solve this problem? Of course not. That's not going to solve anything. Should we go to the Jewish communities in London, whether it be in Golders Green or Stamford Hill, and desecrate the synagogues, or create animosity amongst our Jewish community? Of course not. This is forbidden. We can't be doing that. So what is the Muslim response? When the teacher goes, and I want to re-emphasize this point, when the teacher goes to the student and says to him, that only peace will exist in that part of the land if Israel exists. When the Muslim world states that we need a two-state solution, it has been 75 years of military occupation, 75 years of oppression of Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. Do we see peace in that side of the world? If Israel exists today, would we see peace? Of course not. So who will bring peace to that region? So you and I have a responsibility to articulate the response for the Muslim community in Britain and across the world to what is happening in Palestine today. And our response must be rooted in Islam, because Islam came as a rahmah for mankind. Islam came as a mercy for mankind. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, that we have sent this deen as a rahmah for not just you and I, but for the whole world, for every world. And without it, there is no rahmah, there is no mercy. And it was this rahmah that gave us an Islamic leadership. So the response today is that only an Islamic leadership, a sincere, true Islamic leadership, can bring peace to that region. When the Prophet ﷺ articulates and says, Al-Imam ra'in wa huwa mas'ul, he describes what this leadership is. He describes and says that the Imam, the leader, the Sultan is what? He is responsible for his flock. He is responsible for his people. He is meant to look after them. And it is this Islamic leadership that gave personalities like Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. And it was this man, this Sahaba, under his leadership, who brought justice to that land. It was he who ended 500 years of Roman oppression in that land. It was he who signed the treaty between the Jews and the Christians. And this treaty, what did it say? Islam comes to protect you, ethnic minority. It came to protect you Jews and Christians. Your properties, your churches, your synagogues, they're protected by Islam. It was this Islam that brought the shade of justice to the world. And our history tells us again that when there is occupation, when there is military occupation, our rahmah gives us an answer. Our mercy of Islam gives us an answer. And what is this example? Again, the leadership of Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, rahimahullah. It was he who stopped or ended nearly 100 years of occupation of Palestine in the 10th and 11th century under the Crusades. It was he, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, who spent 10 years, imagine 10 years, unifying a disunited ummah. He unified the likes of Egypt, the likes of Jordan, the likes of Asham, as under his leadership to go and what? Liberate Al-Aqsa. That was the response. And when people say peace and security will come today, yes, peace and security will come today, but only at the hands of Islam. Because Islam came for not only you and I, but for the whole world. In fact, Professor Thomas Arnold, the professor, the academic in the late 20th century, what did he say? He wrote in his book, Preaching to Islam, and he confirmed to us that if it had not been the Muslims who liberated Al-Aqsa back in the 10th and 11th century, the Jews would have been killed off. They would have been murdered by the Crusaders. So peace and tranquility was brought. Justice was brought under the shade of Islam. In fact, both the Jews and the Christians, when they fled the Spanish Inquisition, when Spain, the Queen Isabella in Spain, she decimated the Muslims, killed Muslims and Jews. Where did they flee? They fled to the seat of the Islamic capital in Istanbul, under the seat of the Islamic leadership. So the seat of the Islamic leadership will bring tranquility and peace today. So the rahmah of Islam melted people into one society, irrespective of their race and color and creed, irrespective of where you're from, irrespective of what religion you believe in. Islam came to protect you and I. Islam came to protect everyone. And this is our responsibility that you and I must articulate to the community as a whole in the UK and the rest of the world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to aid the Muslims of Palestine, to keep them steadfast. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give back this leadership, this Islamic leadership that will bring peace and justice back in the world like it did for more than 1,000 years. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا بفضل رحمتك شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك ولا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين. اللهم ارفع الأمة الإسلام، اللهم ارفع الأمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أرحم الراحمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
As you're doing that, we have brothers and sisters on the test and generous to the masjid. While you're doing that, inshallah, come over to our president to make the Jummah downstairs.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Today is really a sad day for many of us. Many of our brothers and sisters who have families in Palestine, in Gaza and the West Bank. And so we're thinking and we're praying for everyone involved in this conflict, war, situation, whatever you want to call it. But seeing the children in Palestine suffering the way that they're suffering, and the women, it's really heartbreaking. So my brothers and sisters, today we are launching an appeal for the people of Gaza and Palestine. We know that we can't get those funds through right now, that there is nothing to stop us from getting it in advance so that we're ready to be able to help them. You see for yourselves on TV that the situation, there are no houses, they have no water, etc. Now, brothers and sisters, we from Wightman Road Mosque here, we joined together with 15 other masjids to form the North London Council of Mosques. And on Tuesday, a collection of mosques, including Rumi, Finchley, Southgate, Enfield Town, the Said Nursi, Seven Sisters, Ponders End, Palmer's Green, the Heart of Enfield, and Edmonton Islamic Centre. All of us have joined together, and I need to read you something. I apologize if it's a little bit long, but it's really important today because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day. So the North London Council of Mosques Network would like to express its deepest sadness for the loss of innocent lives in Palestine and Israel. Every life is sacred according to all faiths, and it is a fundamental human right to live freely in peace. People in all parts of the world, including Gaza and the West Bank, have this right to live with dignity. Innocent lives should not be violated or destroyed anywhere in the world. It is for this reason we call upon Palestinians and Israelis to respect the sanctity of human life. We stand with the families of those who have been victims of awful atrocities. We are asking for humanity and justice. Saying we are pro-Palestine does not mean we are anti-Semitic. The issue is not about valuing one religion, one ethnicity, or one race over another. It's about valuing Palestinian lives as much as we value Israeli lives. As we know, Palestinians have lived under occupation for over 75 years. Specifically, people of Gaza have lived under siege for over 16 years, and people of the West Bank have been divided into hundreds of ghettos with over 500 Israeli checkpoints. Illegal settlements have been expanded, and Palestinian lives have been subjected to humiliation, abuse, and complete disruption. This must end now. International law prohibits collective punishment on any people. Israel cut off water, energy, and food supply to the 2.2 million people of Gaza. thus causing devastating collective suffering, which will result in loss of life. This constitutes a clear violation of international law, and it is a war crime. We categorically condemn Israel for perpetrating war crimes and call upon the international community to stand together against this horrific, inhumane actions. We wholeheartedly support United Nations resolution calling upon Israel to return to the 1967 borders and to dismantle all the illegal settlements. We ask the international community to implement international law in all sections of Palestine and Israel. Justice must be served for all people, regardless of race or religion, to people of all backgrounds, so that people of all backgrounds can live together in peace and harmony. We want all the killing of innocent lives to stop right now. And finally, we offer our sincere prayers for justice, peace, and prosperity in the region for all people. Now that statement was sent by the North London Council of Mosques. Tomorrow, my brothers and sisters, there is a demonstration, and it's at 12 o'clock at Portland Place, Oxford Circus. And if you do attend those demonstrations, please demonstrate so that we cannot be picked on. We know that there's many things going around to say that you can't carry a Palestinian flag, you can't take anything, and people will be waiting to arrest you. Don't give them that opportunity to do so. So, my brothers and sisters, support us in the collections that we will do, and ask of you for the people who are really struggling. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Only Allah can help us. And in the meantime, the people of Afghanistan have been ignored with the earthquakes that hit those families. My brothers and sisters, it's a really trying and hard time, and I'm asking all of you that when you come to the masjid or when you're leaving the masjid, to please be an ambassador for the masjid. Look out for the masjid. Be protective and observant so that you can help all of us, especially our children when they're coming out from madrasa. This weekend, my brothers and sisters, the Sisters Circle is on Sunday, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. It's exploring confidence and higher. And my brothers and sisters, Harrogate Council are here with us today. They're looking at people being foster carers for children. There's sisters upstairs and there's a brother outside the shop. So please come and talk to him and to them about if you can be a foster carer. For listening, and it is really sad, but I intend also to hold some gatherings where people can come and sit with us for a few moments and talk about the way they're feeling, because this event that's going on now is having a big effect on especially some of our loved ones. I will let you know of those dates.
Well, sisters, very quickly for myself, please make up all of us in Raj's son, 2 years old, suffering from cancer. I've got my son very, very ill. There's a lot of time. Please continue to go after the Lord. We pray for Sister Pregnant, also very well, Sister Rita. And lastly, we pray for Sister Sadie, the son of Pastor Wightman,
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
قل لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. استووا واستقيموا واعتدلوا. سووا صفوفكم, straighten the rows, close the gaps. استووا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
So, brothers and sisters, please do remember all of the announcements made before the prayer. Please do remember we're making a collection for Palestine. So please donate generously towards Palestine and appeal on your way out. Also, please do remember we've got our foster carers here from Harrogate Council. If anybody is thinking about or wondering about becoming a foster carer, please do come and see. For the brothers, we've got a brother downstairs and for the sisters, we've got a sister upstairs. Please see them and they'll give you further details about how to become a foster carer. Please do remember everyone who it was. Please do continue to pray for all of our brothers and sisters and children in Palestine.
Brothers and sisters, if I can make this announcement again, if anybody's interested in becoming a foster carer, Home counsellor with us, we've got a brother here downstairs for the brothers who are interested, and we've got some sisters upstairs for our sisters who are interested. So please do register your interest or speak to them, and inshallah, see how you can become a foster carer. That's something that people are extension. Jazakallah. Brothers and sisters, if I can make a quick announcement, there's a blue golf outside obstructing the road, so please, if you have a blue golf and you're still in the building, please do remove your golf immediately, so obstructing the road.